What's up, guys? How we doing? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Hey, we're back with some more scriptures. We're going to be finishing up Exodus today. So right now we're on number 36. We're going to do 36 through 40, and then next week we'll move on to the next one. But anyway, pretty long, so we're going to get started. Not monetizing these again. So if you feel like if you like watching them and you feel like subscribing, go ahead and subscribe and do all the stuff. Again, I'm not the best reader in the world, but I'm getting better. I mean, Old Testament's tough. I mean, it is what it is. And this is my first time through, so I'm not really doing any kind of commentating. I'm just reading them. So maybe after I get a little better at it and get a little bit more knowledge on them, it's a start. And I figured I'd just do it online as I go while I'm starting to read them. I figured I would just may as well, right? But anyway, chapter 36. Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord hath commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. Sorry, it's kind of early. My eyes are still adjusting to the lightness, and anyway, sorry about that. Oh, and my alarm's going off. Dang, all kinds of craziness going on. Okay, enough of that. And they received of Moses all the offerings which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service and of the sanctuary, the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal that they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which the Lord hath commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment that they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offerings of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing. For the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twine linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made he them. And the length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the curtains were all of one size. And he coupled 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of one curtain, from the selvage of the coupling, in the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain which was in the coupling of the second. The loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 taches of gold, and coupled the curtains one unto another, with the taches, so it became one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains made he them. The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. and 11 curtains were of one size. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain in the coupling, and 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain, which coupleth the second. And he made 50 taches of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram's skin, dried red, and a covering of badger's skin above that. He made boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. The length of the board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of a board was 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons equally distant from one another. Thus did he make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made boards of the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side, southward, for the south side southward. And 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and two sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. And there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the side of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards. And 2 boards made he for the corner of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath and coupled together at the head thereof to one ring. Thus he did to both of them in both the corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, under every board 2 sockets. And he made the bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars of boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. And he made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold to be placed for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. With cherubims made he it for a cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made an hanging for the tabernacle door of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of needlework. And the 5 pillars of it were with their hooks, and he overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass. All right, chapter 37. And Bezalel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half was the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half was the height of it. He overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and he made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with the gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the side of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half was the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of the one piece made he them, and the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on the one end on this side, and the other cherub on the other end on that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubims. And he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. And he made thereunto a border of a hand breadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes, his spoons, his bowls, and his covers to cover withal of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick, his shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were of the same. And 6 branches going out of the side thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of the almonds of one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in another branch, and a knop and a flower, so throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops, and his flowers. And a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same, and of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps, and his snuffers, and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was foursquare, and 2 cubits was the height of it. And the horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides of it thereof round about, and the horns of it. He also made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to be placed for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. Chapter 38. And he made an altar of burnt offerings of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, and the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the fire pans, and all the vessels thereof he made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the side of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, and the looking glass of the woman assembly. Sorry about that. Which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. And the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass were 20. And the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the west side, their hangings were 50 cubits, their pillars 10, their sockets 10, and their hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 5 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate were 15 cubits, and their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. For the other side of the court gate on this hand and that hand were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, their sockets 3. And all the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And the overlay of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hangings for the grate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, and their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters and their fillets of silver. I don't know what that chapiter is, but... And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. And this is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. And Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him Aholib, the son of Ashimach, of the tribe of Dan, the engraver and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work, and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of offerings, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,715 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And Becca for every man, a Becca for every man, that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered from 20 years old upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men, and of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,770 and 5 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid the chapiters and the fillets them, and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the socket of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. All right, chapter 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made cloths of service to do the service in the holy place, and they made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the ephods of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into the plates, and cut it into wires to work it, in the blue, in the purple, and in the scarlets, and in the fine twined linen with cunning work. Or in the fine linen with cunning work. They made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together by the edge. By the two edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of the ephod that was upon it was of shame according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in ashes of gold, graven, and signets are graven with the name of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, and they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span was the breadth thereof, being doubled. And they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, a topaz, a carbuncle. This was the first row. And the second row was an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. Not good with some of these words. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper were enclosed in the ouches of gold in their enclosings. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of the signet, every one with his name according to the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the end of the wreathen work of pure gold. And they made 2 ouches of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the rope of the ephod of woven work of all of blue. And there was an hole in the midst of the rope, as the hole of an habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. And they made upon the hem of the rope pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen. They made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the rope round about between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the rope, to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made coats of fine linen of woven works for Aaron and his sons, and a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it in writing, like to the engravings of the signet, holiness to the Lord. And they tied unto it a lace of blue, to fasten it on high upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. And thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So did they. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent and all his furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars, his pillars, and his sockets. And the coverings of ram's skin dried red, and the coverings of badger skin, and the veil of the covering, and the ark of testimony, and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, and the table, and all the vessels thereof, and the shewbread, the pure candlesticks, with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for the lights, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door. the brazen altar and his grate of brass, his staves and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hangings of the court gate, his cords and his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, the cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron, the priest and his sons, garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work. And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it all as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. All right, chapter 40. Then we'll be done with Exodus. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hangings of the door on the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offerings before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hangings at the court gate. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offerings, and all his vessels, and the and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron thy holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. And thou shalt anoint them as thou didst anoint their fathers, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. And thus did Moses according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass that in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it. And the Lord commanded Moses, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above the ark. And he brought the ark unto the tabernacle, and set up the veil of coverings, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the tabernacle in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set the bread in order
upon it before the Lord as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lighted the lamps before the Lord as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. And he burnt sweet incense thereon as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And he put the altar of burnt offerings by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offerings, and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. And when they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hangings of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. And a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was upon it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. All right, well, that's Exodus. We'll be starting into the third book of Moses, called Leviticus, next week. We'll look into that one, and we'll start on that one. So appreciate y'all. I'm trying. Glad y'all are here. If you want, do the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, comment, share. Like I said, I'm doing this, not monetizing them or anything. So if you feel like, help me out with a subscribe, and there's links below if you feel like checking out my other channels and whatnot. But anyway, appreciate it. That was finished up Exodus. We'll be starting Leviticus next week, and appreciate y'all. Love you. See you in the next one.